to the DMF. I am your host, Justin Yachts, and this is episode 18. And I'm going to talk about some things we can do to improve in life, books I'm reading, what I'm doing. I want to talk a little bit about the film Looper by Rian Johnson. Or is it Ryan Johnson? AEW, professional wrestling, the pay-per-view that was on Sunday. I want to talk a little bit about The Rock endorsing Biden and Harris. I want to talk about the new show Comey Rule, Night 1 and Night 2. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the G1 climax. So, enjoy. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about what's going on in my life. Well, I'm taking an accounting course, which is interesting. I've never really done anything in that financial area, but I'm enjoying it. I'm learning about balance sheets and things like that, and it's very good for me personally because I need that. One thing I got to talk to you a little bit about is I may have to change the name of the DMF. I know. Although we're still going to keep the DMF, but we're going to put something, we got to put my name in there somewhere because nobody knows what DMF stands for or what it is, and it's not going to search in any engine, so it's not going to show up in any search engine, So that may start to happen. I'm not sure yet. I'm still thinking things out. One of the things I would like to talk about, though, is let's talk about things we can do to improve in life. What's something we can do? And one of the things that I'm doing that has helped me a great deal is making a list. If you make a list of the things you need to do, it's so much easier because you can just check off what you need to do. Just going one, down, one, down, one, down, one. You just keep going down the list, and it works great. Another thing we can do, and I'm going to direct you to a YouTube video by Evan Carmichael. That is EvanCarmichael. I don't feel like I should take credit for this. He has a video on there that's called 5 Habits That Will Help You Crush Depression. Let me repeat that. 5 habits that will help you crush depression. The first thing is exercise. 2, prime your brain. Get your brain going. Tony Robbins does this. Gets his brain ready. Takes him 10 minutes. 3rd, read. I can't stress that enough. Just keep reading. I try to read a book a week. Sometimes I'm reading now 3 books a week. Don't tell me how. It's starting to happen. 4, eat healthy. Eating healthy will make you feel better. Your body will feel better. 5, spend time on yourself. That is key. You need to spend time on yourself so you can get down to what you need in life. Get down to those things. So, that's a little bit about that. Now I want to talk a little bit about some of the books I'm reading. I just finished a book called 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that name. It's a great book because it simplifies things into 4 kind of rules, although they're like almost encompassing a lot of rules. Don't think of it so much as rules, but guidelines, ideas. They sound like the guy in Pirates of the Caribbean. They're more like guidelines than rules. For those of you that know the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is probably most of you. So I'm reading that. That's a good book. Read it. It's a short read. I think you'll like it. One of the books I'm getting ready to read is called Why Nations Fail by Daron Acemoglu. This looks like an interesting book because it's all about capitalism and nations and all things like that. Another book I'm reading, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Need I say any more? I mean, if you've seen the film, great film, but the book is even better because it's just very descriptive and unique language, and he writes in such a colorful way that the pictures just come straight to you. It's great. Read that book. I've got to make a correction here. Why Nations Fail, Darian Ace Mogul, as well as James A. Robinson. And James A. Robinson's name sounds familiar. Just now, I'm just realizing that, so I'm going to look at who. Let's look it up in real time. James A. Robinson is. Yeah, he wrote The Narrow Corridor. It's not exactly the person I'm thinking of, but he's Why Nations Fail, the Origin of Power. I can't wait to read this. At I believe in 2019, in 2019, this was ranked as President Barack Obama's top book. So that might tell you something. What's another book I'm reading? I just finished a book called 1 to a Million Followers by Brendan Kane. Really interesting book talking about social media and leveraging those things. I'm getting ready to start a book called, what am I starting? I've got so many books I'm reading. I'm also reading a book called The Law of Attraction, which is the basic of teaching of Abraham that Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about. Really good book. I highly recommend it. Hook Point's another book you can get from Brendan Kane. I'm about to start reading that. And that's all about, how do you create content in the 3-second world. So that's a little bit about what I'm reading, and we'll come back with Looper. Okay, let's talk about Looper. This is a film that came out in 2012, directed by Rian Johnson. That's how you pronounce his name, Rian Johnson. Sorry if I messed that up. And this film came out in September 2012. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, and the film stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt, Paul Dano, Noah Segan, Piper Perabo, Jeff Daniels. The music was done by Nathan Johnson, and Stephen Yedlin did the cinematography, which it has beautiful cinematography. And he also did The Last Jedi, which I love the way he shot that. Knives Out, that's another great Rian Johnson film. So he's been working with him for quite a while. Oh, and he also did Brick. So he's basically Rian Johnson's cinematographer in some ways, because they've almost worked on everything he's done. And this film had a $30 million budget, but let me get to the film. So this is a film that takes a twist on the whole time travel element, and it takes place in the year 2044. And we have this thing called loopers, which are, wow, how do I explain this film? This is a very complex film. Basically, time travel has become this kind of contract-killing world. And there are these people that are called loopers that are hired by criminal syndicates from the future to terminate victims when they send them back through time. And one of the things they do is they'll send back the person in the future and kill them, and that's kind of called closing the loop. But that's not what's so great about this film. It's the way it's told. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, now, he's got like this CGI on him that makes him look like a cross between, I think they're trying to make him look like Bruce Willis. I don't want to give away the twist, although the twist is kind of obvious, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt is, he's got like this CGI on him that makes him look like, he looks like Stephen Baldwin. I'm sorry. He looks like he's wearing Stephen Baldwin makeup. Bruce Willis is a man in the future. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a man who goes into the future and comes back, and he's trying to get out. It's really hard for me to explain this movie because if I go too in depth, I'll ruin the twist, and I don't want to ruin the twist for you because it's a really great film, and it has a lot of interesting things. One of the things that Rian Johnson he said his inspiration was Akira, was an inspiration for this film. 12 Monkeys, the original Terminator. It's an interesting film. Emily Blunt's in it. It's hard for me to talk about anything in this film without giving away the twist, so I can't really say much of anything. I didn't even realize that. I would recommend you go see it. If you like time travel films, or you like science fiction, or you just like a good story, or if you like Rian Johnson films like Brick, with that film noir aspect to it, then this is the film for you. Which, I gotta say, that's a way to look at this film. It's a time travel film with film noir elements to it. So it's got this really unique look on things. And it eventually turns into this chase. And the ending is breathtaking. I love the ending. So I can't really say anything much about the film without giving it away. I didn't even really think about that. I could talk a little about... Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to talk about this more in depth on a later podcast. I just kind of wanted to breach the subject because I saw it. So I am going to talk about this in depth later on, and there will be spoilers in that. So right now, we're just going to kind of call this a tie me over kind of look at it. I don't want to go too in depth with it. The scoring is wonderful. Go see it. It's great. Good stuff. Good stuff all around. I don't know how you can't like this movie. So go see Looper. That's all I'm going to say about it. Because if I say any more, I'll probably give away something. But it was written and directed by Rian Johnson, who did The Last Jedi. A lot of people are divisive about that film. He also did Brick. He did The Brothers Bloom. He did Knives Out. This is a good film. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about professional wrestling here. So if you don't like that, skip ahead. Probably 10 minutes. So, Clash of Champions. In the books, September 27th, 2020 at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. Is it Orlando, Florida? I think it is, yeah. Roman Reigns defeats Jey Uso. But the way they did this match was interesting. Now, Roman Reigns has completely lost all of his Shield stuff, except for his music. The music is the only thing that remains the same. And that and the spear and the Superman punch. But he's lost the shirt, and he looks good. He's been working on his physique. He looks great. I was reading some interviews. He said he was nervous. He's like, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm like, dude, you look good enough to be on TV. We can see your abs. That's all that needs to be done for you to succeed in the world of professional wrestling. So, but the way he did this, he was playing off almost the real Roman Reigns. Like, the way he was beating him, he's like, I want you to admit that I'm the best. In the middle of the match. It's like, I want you to admit that I'm the chief. That's his thing. The tribal chief is what they call him now. That's his new thing. And he's beating on him, and he's beating on him, and he won't say it. And then Jimmy Uso comes out, and he's got the towel, and he has to throw the towel in. At one point, the referee scolds him, and he says, you better not scold me there. If you scold me, you're going to be out of a job. So he's playing up on the idea that we all know that Roman Reigns is the top guy, and he has all this power. And they're playing off of that. Now he's the champion, the way he's wielding it. And it was great storytelling. Because it's different. And Paul Heyman has kind of like faded into the background. He says a few things, but he's not the mouthpiece that he was for Brock Lesnar. He's reinvented himself. But Roman Reigns, he's completely reinvented himself. And supposedly we got new music coming on, but the way he did this match was just... This was some unique storytelling. We don't get that in WWE with their stories. It's usually fast, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's it. The other match that was kind of important was Drew McIntyre defeated Randy Orton. I hated this match. You had Shawn Michaels, you had Big Show, you had Christian, all interfering in the match, and I'm like, okay, so the babyface needs 3 guys to beat 1 guy? To me, it almost turns Orton face. I did not like this match. Drew retains. He puts him in the ambulance. I'm assuming this feud will continue, which after tonight it will continue, and it probably will continue at the Hell in a Cell, where Randy Orton will finally defeat Drew McIntyre, and his championship reign really didn't mean anything. Sasha Banks returned and attacked Bayley, but she still got the neck brace, so she's selling that. That's about all the interesting things that happened on here. They really, I'm just giving you the things that you should watch. I don't want to give you all of it. If you want to recap, there's millions of recaps. I'm just telling you the things that you need to watch that were interesting. Also, the ladder match. The ladder match was kind of interesting. Sami Zayn defeated AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy. He handcuffed them he handcuffed one of them to like a ladder, and then he handcuffed the other to a ladder and went up, and I was like, that's kind of unique, kind of good stuff. I liked it. So Sami Zayn is now the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. So those are the things I would say to watch. I don't know, I'm going to backtrack here just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. There was a tag team championship match. Nobody cared. It was lame and boring, and it just spoke nothing. Asuka defeated Zelina Vega. I think Zelina Vega's had, 1 match. Bobby Lashley faced Apollo Crews. No one cared. Bobby Lashley won. I'm sorry, Lashley. We don't have first names in this company. Street Profits defeated Andrade and Angel Garza, and Angel Garza may have hurt his leg. Bayley got herself disqualified in Asuka, and that was it. And everything else you know. All right, so we're going to move on. Let's talk about the G1. And I want to talk about Jay White versus Okada. This was an awesome match. I like this. Jay White, when Okada's coming down the aisleway, he's stomping his feet and making fun of it because the crowd can't chant. They can't boo. They can only clap. That's one of the rules that in Japan, New Japan Wrestling has put in place. You can't cheer or boo. You have to clap. So Jay White is trolling them, and he's clapping and stomping and like being like, "Come on, Okada, Okada, Okada." And Okada's looking a little rough. He's getting. I think he needs a little bit of a rest. A lot of outside interference stuff. Not like from the Bullet Club so much. Gato kind of interfered, so they're kind of pushing that back a little bit. But Jay White gets the win, and Jay White gets on the mic and declares that it is now the J1, not the G1. I still say this guy is winning. I think he's going to win. I think they're going to go all the way with him. He is something else. He's just becoming more entertaining by the minute. He's a great heel. Ibushi versus Ishii. This is a good match. Ibushi wins with the Kamigoye. Stiff stuff, kind of what you'd expect from the two. Ishii versus Ospreay, that happened also earlier in the week. I like that match. Ospreay is just on another level. He's so good. Ospreay wins. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Naito. Naito defeats Zack Sabre Jr. with the Destino. Ibushi versus Jay White. That was a great match. Jay White's just he's just on another level. He keeps he just keeps going up the bar. So Jay White has yet to be defeated. And I think Tai Chi hasn't been defeated. So if you need to see some matches, watch Jay White versus Okada, watch Jay White versus Ibushi, watch Zack Sabre Jr. versus Naito, watch Ibushi versus Ishii, and watch Ishii versus Ospreay. And if you need one more match, Jeff Cobb versus Minoru Suzuki. That was a good match too. Minoru Suzuki won. They're kind of slowly bringing up Jeff Cobb around, but I think Jeff Cobb needs to be protected. We got a lot to cover, so those are the matches I would say to watch. Watch for Jay White. This guy he's on another level. Also, Tanahashi faced Toru Yano, and I did not like that match. I don't like Toru Yano matches. A lot of comedy and stupid stuff like that. Let's move on to AEW. AEW, Cody returns. It was Orange Cassidy versus Brody Lee. Orange Cassidy, he lost to Brody Lee, and then we hear this like music, and then we see it's Cody. Cody is back, and he's got now dark hair. He's no longer blonde. He's got a new look. And it was a cool look. Really cool look. Miro debuted. This was his debut match. So Rusev, officially AEW, really worked on the physique. His traps are amazing. And he looked like a monster. I think he's going to be a star in this company. I think they're going to let him just be a star. Eddie Kingston called out Mox. Mox gives him a championship match. Mox, let's see, how did he do it? Did he defeat him? He choked him out, and the ref stopped it. And then the Lucha Brothers came out, and they all fought him, and they all fought on Moxley, and then Darby Allin came out, and Eddie Kingston, and then Ricky Starks came out. And then they had Taz came out, and he's apparently got an alliance with them. So it's Mox, Hobbs, and Darby Allin. This was a good show. I really enjoyed this show. Good stuff all around. They just continue to improve. Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida versus Ivelisse and Diamante. It was a good match. Not my favorite, but good. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler came out and, gloated, and then Chuck Taylor and Trent, the best friends, come out, and it looks like that's what they're building to. We saw that the Young Bucks are now pretty much heels. They healed on Tony Schiavone. Matt Hardy and the Private Party were out there, and he called out Jericho. Jericho came out, and it looks like it's going to be Jericho and Matt Hardy kind of having a little bit of a feud. Also, we had the return of Sammy Guevara. Brody Lee was pissed after Cody returned. They keep teasing the slow build to Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, which will be great. Really good stuff. They had on the Monday, they had at 12 o'clock, no, it was Tuesday. Last Tuesday, they had a after dark type thing, and that was good. We had Scorpio Sky versus it was Scorpio Sky versus I forget the name. So many names. Yeah, Scorpio Sky faced. Who did he face? Why is it not telling me? Oh yeah, Ben Carter, who's probably going to get signed. Matt Sydal versus Sean Spears. This was Matt Sydal's first match, and John Spears won. Good match. So those are some of the things that happened there. SmackDown before Clash of Champions had a little showdown, and we saw some more of the heel Roman Reigns, and he Superman punched him. He said, "Look, you can never be me. I got to be the top of the guy here. And you can't be that. I've been bred to be this. So I'm loving the Roman Reigns stuff. I'm loving Jay White and the G1. I'm loving Will Ospreay. I'm loving everything AEW's doing. So I'm a happy, happy wrestling fan. Moving on. Okay, we're going to end on a little bit of politics. I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, The Rock. And you know I'm a big wrestling fan. Endorsed Biden and Harris. I'm happy for him. I guess he's getting into politics. My problem is he didn't ask one really serious question. He asked them a bunch of questions that like anyone could answer. Like, how are you going to make people, trust you? And they said, believing in truth and justice and stuff. And it's like, yes, those were all great things, but they don't mean anything. They're not defined as anything. It would have been nice if he asked a policy question, like saying, how are you going to lower prescription drugs for the average American? Or how are you going to bring, jobs back? How are you going to deal with this epidemic with coronavirus and a vaccine? How are you going to convince people that the vaccine is safe? Or another thing, I don't know how you fall on this, talking about, Medicare for all. It's like, if we're not going to have Medicare for all, how are you going to make insurance better? How are you going to deal with the health crisis in this country? Health insurance. A lot of people are going to watch Rock's video. He had an opportunity to ask these questions, and he didn't. Cardi B asked about Medicare for all, and they didn't say anything. But at least he would have asked the question. And he might have, actually said, excuse me, I need an answer. So it didn't feel, also they called him DJ, and I don't know. It just kind of felt set up. I'm happy for Rock that he's doing that. But I just felt, ask at least one important question. It just felt like when Jimmy Fallon, interviewed Trump and he just rubbed his hair. It's like, you have these people on, ask them at least one important question so that, the average American can maybe clomb something off of that. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. I feel like it was a missed opportunity. I love The Rock. I'm not attacking The Rock. I just would have liked a little bit more detail in his questions. So moving on, the thing that I am so excited to talk to you about. I just finished watching Comey Rule, Night 1 and Night 2, directed by Billy Ray and written by him. And it's based off of James Comey's memoirs. This was spectacular. This was outstanding. This was as good as The Loudest Voice, which was done by, was it called The Loudest? Hold on, I got to make sure that I'm saying this right. The one that they did about Roger Ailes. Yes, The Loudest Voice. I was correct. I thought I was talking about something else, but no, The Loudest Voice. I thought it was just as good as that. And so I'm going to give a little breakdown of some of that. Night 1 was all about Comey having to deal with Hillary Clinton's emails and the pressure from his family and from everybody to reopen the investigation at the very tail end of the election, and then all that stuff that went through, and the way they introduced Trump in the first episode. You don't actually ever see him in the first episode. He's not really there. But they show him like it looks like somebody's talking about the Miss America pageants that he's doing, and they show him like walking up and touching them all, and you're seeing it from like his back and his head, so you can see him, but you can't see his face, and he's talking to all the women, and and they end the Night 1 with him becoming president. And Jeff Daniels' character, what am I saying? I've got to get into this a little bit. Jeff Daniels plays James Comey. I just got done watching this, so I don't have a lot of notes on this. I'm going off my head. here. So Jeff Daniels plays James Comey. Holly Hunter's in it. She plays Sally Yates, and we have Michael Kelly. He plays Andrew McCabe. Jennifer Ale. She plays Patrice Conway. I don't know. Scott McNary, awesome actor. He plays Rod Rosenstein. We have Brian Darcy, James Marquilano. I think I remember him in something. He's good. He's a good actor. So night one ends with him finding out that Trump is president, and he's kind of, he's going home and he's looking at his parent, because they show that, Comey's family, he's got three girls, and he's got a wife, and they're all for Hillary. And the shame he feels, he has to go back into the house. And then they cut to that shot of Trump from the back and the head from the Miss America, but he's just opening the curtains, and then it cuts, and that's the end of episode 1. So good. Like the way they introduce Trump. I don't know your political leanings. I don't want to get into that. I'm trying to keep this as bipartisan as possible. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you can listen to this and not, hate it. So I really love it. There is some fluff. There is some liberal fluff in there that, is kind of like, okay, that's a little heavy-handed. It's all about, Russia and, the Russia investigation, and sometimes I feel that's pushed a little too much. But that ending was so great. He just opens the curtains and then it cuts right there. It's so good. And the music by Henry Jackman, such a great scorer, composer. He composed the music for Captain America, Winter Soldier, Captain America, Civil War. He did, I believe he did the score for Kick-Ass. He's done, he's a terrific scorer. I can't get enough of him. And he brought, this music was so perfect for this film. X-Men the First Class, well, a lot of The Kingsman, Detective Pikachu. Good score. Really good music. And it fit this film, it's actually, is it a television show? This mini-series, I guess you could say it's 2 episodes, so I guess technically it's a mini-series, perfectly. And I can't say enough about it. It's something that I'm probably going to watch over and over again, because it's just really well done. So, now we move on to night 2, and that's all about Trump. And Donald Trump is played by Brendan Gleeson, which I think is a perfect idea to get. They didn't get an American. They got somebody divorced of politics in this country, so that he would find the man. He was going to try and do an impression of him. He's an Irish actor. He has nothing to do with this. He's Dublin, Ireland. That's a horrible Irish accent. Really great actor. His son, Domhnall Gleeson, wonderful actor. There's that word again. He plays Trump to the T. It almost feels like you're watching Trump, because he got all his mannerisms. And, I just want to tell you something. I demand loyalty, and he found that voice. The voice was perfect. But it doesn't sound like, this fake stagey voice. It sounded like it's the real voice of Trump. And I just, they play him up like he's this hovering, this impending doom for Comey. You just know he's going to fire him at some point. And if you know the story, well, you know what happens. It doesn't end up well for James Comey. But if you get a chance to see this miniseries on Showtime, the Comey Rule, really, really terrific stuff. Just, I can't believe it. It's like, have no words. I just think they nailed everything perfectly. And Brendan Gleeson's his portrayal of Donald Trump is spot on. If he does not win an Emmy, the thing, in the words of Donald Trump, it's rigged. It's rigged. It's my bad Donald Trump impression. But he found the man. He found the man in there. As well as, not the caricature of it. And that was so great. He found the man. And same thing with Jeff Daniels. He found who Comey was, struggling to keep everything together when everything's falling around him. Trying to do the right thing in the face of despair. And always being loyal to, and courteous. He was such a nice guy. He talked to the janitor. They have this thing where they ask him, what was your favorite candy growing up? And he does it as like an icebreaker. As he said, it's much easier for me to trust you if you know something about me. I thought that was so great. And then there's another thing he says. He's telling the guy who's going to take over his job, he said, look, you got to make sure that, you leave at 6 because they're not going to leave until you leave. If you're just dead into the job, they're going to just be dead into the job. And thinking about other people. And I thought that was so, you can learn something from that. So, whatever your political dealings on this, I thought this was a terrific piece of art. And Brendan Gleeson deserves an Emmy, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, everything. He had the insurmountable task of playing Donald Trump. And everybody has their idea of Donald Trump, and he found the man. He wasn't playing a caricature of him. So on that's about wraps it up. Wow, we kind of went kind of long here today. This is going to be probably like a 50-minute episode. Well, a lot of things to talk about. Sorry it wasn't on Sunday, but I really wanted to talk about Comey Rule, and I wanted to give you my fresh thoughts on it. So that's all I've got. I want to say thank you for listening. Thank you, as always, for subscribing. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at my name, Justin Yance, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm at a loss for words, but I'm still thinking about the Comey thing. It's so good. So I want to thank you for listening, and I will see you next time on the DMF.